Welcome to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast, your guide to future tech trends and innovation in a language you understand. Now, over to your host, Neil Hughes.
Welcome back to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast, and a big special hello to Ben Michaels from the Bay Area, who said some lovely things about the show in a recent email. Speaking of which, remember, if any of you are out there listening and would like to message me, remember, my door is always open to each and every one of you. You can email me at techblogwriter@outlook.com. You can tweet me at Neil C. Hughes, or drop by the website, look at all the different podcast episodes at techblogwriter.co.uk. And remember, the podcast is also on Spotify, as well as iTunes, YouTube, and a whole heap of other places. And also, one of the most common questions I get is people wanting my help in launching their own podcast. So if you would like to join my virtual class, where I'm going to take a global class of people and set them up with 8 published podcast episodes ready to go in January to start 2019 with a bang. Again, you know where to find me. But that's me, podcast guy, tech writer guy. But today's guest is John Dahl, and he's the co-founder at Mux, where he builds software to help online video get better. Essentially, Mux is the leader in video analytics, and they've just released a brand new product that's aiming to revolutionize the way developers monitor streaming quality and also any potential outages. Mux's real-time QoS dashboard also is aiming to help developers spot and address issues with video streaming as soon as they're happening in real time. And my understanding, at least, is this dashboard is the first of its kind. But before Mux, John was also the co-founder of Zencoder, and then he was the VP of Technology at Brightcove, 2 pioneering companies in the world of online video. He's got a fantastic story, so I invited him on the show today to speak about how this product is actually going to impact both developers and streamers alike. So buckle up and hold on tight as I beam your ears all the way to San Francisco so we can speak with John Dahl, co-founder of Mux. So a massive warm welcome to the show, John. Can you tell the listeners a little about who you are and what you do?
Absolutely. Hey, everyone, I'm John Dahl. I'm co-founder and CEO of a company called Mux, and we do video infrastructure as kind of core API services. So we have an analytics-focused product that I think we might talk a little more about today, and we also have a video streaming API product. It's basically a simple API to scalable video publishing.
Excellent. I'm quite excited to get you on today because we are living in a world that's dominated by video and video streaming, and we all kind of just take that technology for granted. And it's what goes on behind the scenes that I think we need to pay a bit more attention to. And I came across Mux, and from the research that I've done, it's the leader in video analytics. But for anyone listening and hearing about your company for the very first time, can you just offer an overview of the kind of problems that you solve, what tech you use, and also what makes you guys unique and stand out from the crowd?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the thing that we do that is really unique in general is just our use of data and machine learning to help publishers stream video better. We have our first product that we launched almost 2 years ago now is a video analytics product. And it's basically a way for companies like the New York Times and CBS and Wistia and Livestream and some others to really understand what kind of performance their viewers get when they watch video on their platforms. So we tell them when their users are getting rebuffering, or how long videos are taking to start, or what kind of errors people are seeing, what kind of video quality. And we do that in a few different ways, but it's really focused on giving people the information they need to run good video platforms. And if you watch much streaming video, which pretty much everyone does these days, you know that like online video is still pretty early, and the technology is still a little bit like Wild West days. And video doesn't always work, which is why this is so important.
Now, you guys have recently announced a new product that's aiming to revolutionize the way developers monitor streaming quality and outages. So can you just expand on that new release?
Yes. Yeah. So our new product is it's a real-time streaming operations dashboard. So it's kind of, I think, like a war room in like a data center or a network operations center. or that room at the BBC with all the TVs up and the engineers watching to make sure things are working. It's basically that for streaming video. So it's a real-time dashboard that shows exactly what's happening on millions of video players around the world within seconds of real time.
Now, from what I've read about it as well, I believe this technology will actually make it possible for engineers to quickly identify and fix problems like in the World Cup streaming outage that impacted millions of people, or millions of sport fans all around the world this year. And so for anyone that is completely unaware of what happened at the World Cup, can you tell them a little bit more about exactly what went down and how you believe it could be prevented from happening again with the help of your new solution in that war room type scenario?
Yeah, well, I know of at least 2 major outages that happened during the World Cup this year, and there certainly might have been more. I know there's one in Australia and one in the U.S. The U.S. one, I think, was YouTube TV went out during a semifinal game. It was either semifinal or final. I don't remember right now. But complete outage during the game. And similarly, the streaming provider in Australia that had the rights to games for Australia basically lost an entire weekend of games, and they were actually forced to give the rights to a second provider just to make sure that people could watch the games at all. Which I think it's really just demonstrates how difficult video streaming at scale is. I mean, YouTube is not a team of dummies. It's probably the best team of video engineers in the world, and the scale of a live event is just so massive. Videos, I think the stats are videos already like 50-60% of all internet traffic. So if you have a major event like the World Cup, and that spikes up to I don't know the numbers, but imagine that spiking to from 60 to 70%. That's a huge drain on networks and servers and CDNs. So I don't know what happened behind the scenes of the YouTube outage, but I'm pretty sure the one in Australia was due to either capacity issues at a content delivery network or maybe some misconfiguration. And what a platform like Mux could do is 2 things. One, it could help give a streaming operations center advance warning that something is going to go wrong. So you might see things starting to trend in a bad direction before there's a full-on outage. And then 2, as soon as there is any sort of an outage or problem, get alerted to it within seconds so you can remedy the problem as quickly as possible.
So how will Mux's real-time QoS dashboard help developers spot and address those issues with video streaming as they're happening, and more importantly, I suppose, in real time too? So
the first thing we do is we put the key metrics that really should be monitored. We put them front and center on a single dashboard, updated within seconds with trend lines, so you can see how performance is trending over the last half hour and things like that. So the metrics are things like error rates and rebuffering and start time, and honestly just the number of viewers. One of the best ways to spot an outage is to see your number of viewers drop. If you have 10,000 concurrent viewers and it drops to 10 concurrent viewers, you know something went wrong. So the first is just identifying what the problem is. There's a spike in rebuffering or spike in errors or a drop in view count. And the second thing is kind of diagnosing what's causing it and where it's happening. And so we do things like show performance across geography. So you might have an outage that's related to geography, or it could be individual shows or programs that are causing problems. So we can kind of help triangulate there. And then the second part of our data product is really a historical metrics dashboard that shows you performance over the last 30, 90 days. And so you can kind of go from that real-time view when you identify a problem to the historical view and really understand what is baseline performance, how does it compare to performance now, and find where something is going wrong.
So how do you think it's going to impact both developers and streamers alike?
So for developers, it's the simplest platform in terms of how you integrate, how you use it. There's really not much of a learning curve. The integration is honestly 2 lines of JavaScript and you're done. For web players and a simple SDK for mobile or TV platforms. So really, I think one of our goals is to get this information to developers who have never been able to access this kind of thing before. Again, if you're a giant tech company, you probably have a home-built system that does this kind of thing. But if you are a broadcaster or a mid-sized platform or a small platform, we're making this data accessible for the first time in a lot of ways. Then for the streamers, for the programs, and just for the viewers too, we really want to help improve the reliability of video on the internet, improve the quality of video on the internet, and just give viewers a better overall experience.
So I've got to ask, what excites you most about this latest release?
I think it just makes the rest of our platform that much more useful. For a year and a half, we've had a platform that lets you diagnose things in the past. So you can look at, over the last 10 days, how has my system performed, which is really targeted at the engineers who are building software. So if you're building a video player or, configuring a CDN, you want that historical information. You want to see over the last 1 million plays, what was performance like. But this is the first time when we're offering a product that's aimed at the operations team, who is on call, who is responsible for making sure things are working right now. So really, it brings this video performance product to a new type of customer, the operator instead of the engineer, and then just to a new use case as well.
Now, you mentioned operations teams there and a new kind of user. So, who is your target audience and what are their biggest challenges right now? And I suppose also, how are you helping overcome them with this new release?
Yeah. So our target audience broadly is anyone for whom video streaming is a core part of their business. The biggest vertical in there that we work with this product is media companies. So we have a number of broadcasters around the world on our platform. We have a number of news publications, other streaming video platforms that we can like Wistia and Livestream that we can help improve performance of their platforms. So that's our target audience, and the challenges that they face and that we can help them overcome is reacting quickly to issues that come up. And if you've ever spent time in the world of streaming video, things come up all the time. Maybe your CDN has an outage in a certain region, or maybe a browser, Chrome auto updates to a new version, and all of a sudden 80% of your traffic is on a different video player or a different video player technology that might not work. Or you just have a really important event to monitor. So we saw the World Cup this summer. We got the Super Bowl coming up in February, and every year, every cycle, more and more people are watching these things online instead of on traditional broadcast.
So what's next for you guys at Mux? Is there anything else that you can share with us today?
Sure. I mentioned at the beginning, our second product is actually a video streaming platform. So we actually use all the data from this data product to help optimize video streaming. So that's encoding, it's delivery, sort of the way that video is published to individual users or individual devices. And we use this data to drive optimizations. So we can actually stream better performance, better quality to users than they'd get without it. So I think what's next for us is really just spending a lot of time going really deep into video performance and using this real-time data to actually drive real-time decisions automatically. So we can do things like route around geographic problems, or update the way that video is encoded and published based on how many people are watching a video, or what devices they're watching on, or the actual content of the video itself. So that's going to be our focus for the next for the foreseeable future.
Excellent. Well, we do have listeners in 165 countries listening to us today, so I suspect there's going to be more than a few broadcasters listening out there. So if there is anyone you've awoken their curiosity and they're going to want to reach out to you guys, can you just remind them of where they can find you online, and also contact a member of your team if they've got any questions?
Yeah, absolutely. You can find us at mux.com, mux.com, and you can contact us directly there. You can hop in chat. We have chat on the site, and talk to one of our people, usually right away.
Now, like I said earlier on in the show, we all stream video there, and you mentioned it in your when you were talking as well. And I don't think we realise just how much we take streaming video for granted until, of course, it goes down, and then everybody gets angry. But what I love about what you're doing here is just, first of all, you've given us an insight into exactly what goes on behind the scenes, but also how your product is actually going to directly impact both developers and streamers alike. So a big thank you for sharing that story with me today.
Yeah, thank you too, Neil.
It's easy to see why Mux is considered as one of the leaders in video analytics, and their new product looks set to revolutionise the way developers monitor streaming quality and outages. Now, as someone has witnessed a few issues when streaming video, and I suspect that many of you have too, it made me realise how we all take this tech for granted. We all sit there streaming a game or a Netflix movie with stats, social media, conversations on one screen, and the game or movie on the other. But when things go wrong and we get that buffering sign, that's when we see the real person, isn't it? I think it was Will Ferrell that said, if you want to see what a person is really like before you marry them, remove their Wi-Fi. Seriously though, I love the idea of Mux's real-time dashboard and how it's actually going to help developers spot and address those issues with video streaming as they're happening in real time before it gets to us and we all flip our lid and go a little bit crazy. And like I said at the beginning of the show, I think this dashboard is the first of its kind because it's the only one out there that actually shows the latest measurements, the latest trends, directly as they're happening during the streaming process. But before I go off making any wild claims, I want to turn to you guys and dolls listening. Whether you have a similar company or you use a different solution, I want to hear your insights into the world of online video and streaming too. Because that's what this show's all about. Using technology to bring us all together, share stories and learn from one another. And maybe even challenge our worldview or perception along the way. That's how we grow, isn't it? But enough of my ramblings. I'm going to be that cringy guy now who says, let's take this offline. So email me at techblogwriter@outlook.com, tweet me at Neil C. Hughes. It's been a pleasure spending another 25 minutes with you today. But hey, let's do it all again tomorrow. So a big thank you as always for listening to the show, and until next time, don't be a stranger.
Thanks for listening to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast. Until next time, remember, technology is best when it brings people together.